Hello, hello, it's Richard here. How are you doing, everybody? First of all, thank you again to everybody who subscribed to the channel. As you know, I've played guitar on and off for quite some time, but still a relative beginner because of putting it down when it gets hard and picking it back up. But yeah, so thank you very much for everyone who's subscribed and commented as well. It's really kind of you. Just doing this for a bit of fun for me, really. Anyway, so I've had 75 guitars in total now. This is my 15th Harley Benton. This is a slightly older one. So what the point of this video is today really is to showcase what this guitar is all about and give you my thoughts, not just on it, but on it versus the Gibson Epiphones, vintage V100 and other Harley Bentons I've had, to see where it kind of sits. Now this model is an L-500, it's a slightly older one. There is now the SC500 is its modern day equivalent. So also interesting to see whether we think this may be the older ones are slightly better. Don't know. But let's have a quick run through of what it is and what you get. So hopefully you'll agree with me that this is very pretty. I like white instruments. I like white guitars with gold hardware in particular, and this fits that bill perfectly. The gold has tarnished and worn a bit because it's obviously old now, but it's still there and it's still pretty. So the headstock, obviously the headstock design and the logos are different. I kind of like the newer logo, but I prefer this headstock, to be honest. Yeah, the tuners are your usual budget guitar sealed tuners, and they are not brilliant. In truth, I've tightened them up as best I can. Now, people get the knickers in a twist, don't they, about being in or out tune. Now, if you're just a home player like me, playing just for practice and just for fun, and it goes a bit out of tune, then that's no big deal, is it? You're not recording anything. It's not going anywhere. And if you have your tuner, stuck on the end, which I usually do, if it feels a bit out of tune to your ear, just quickly tune it up, no big deal. But that said, this holds tune okay. I mean, I've just put some new Only-Born 9s on it, and they're still bedding in, but it seems to hold its tune okay. The nut on here is a plastic nut. Some of the newer, better Harley Bentons now, you get an upgrade on the nut, but it's been cut okay, and it's nice and smooth at the sides, so I approve of that. So that's good. Now the neck, big thing, isn't it? Obviously, that's the most important in some ways, how the neck feels. Now it describes itself as a C shape. I would say it is a C shape, but quite a few of these Les Pauls, like the vintage V100s in particular, they have a U shape, really thin U shape. This is very thin still. It does feel like the vintage in that regard. It does feel very thin, but the shape is definitely more of a C. It's comfortable, thin, but comfortable. So yes, a thin, skinny C. It's 42 millimeters at the nut as well, by the way. So not a huge neck angle here either, which in theory should help with tuning as well. But yeah, so neck, nice and, sort of say nice and thin. It depends what you like really. But yeah, it is C, it is thin. It doesn't get too much fatter up here either. The only thing I would say is, with Harley Bentons having a very flat neck radius as they do, it's a bit harder if you want to get your hands all the way around, if you've got sort of more baby hands. My Strat is a 9.5 inch radius, this is 13.75. So it is a bit harder to get your hand all the way around. But other than that, obviously it should make it a bit easier for bends and for sort of individual note playing. The fretwork's good, and I can see, you can't really tell on this video well enough, I apologise, it's just an iPhone, but the fret ends, you can see the milling tools on them still, so I don't think anyone's had a go at improving them. They just are, I would say, still out of the factory. There's some binding on the edge, which is nice. The fret ends are not sharp, they're good. They're a bit scratchy, which is surprising really for an older guitar. It makes me wonder how much use it's had, I don't know. But I've only had it less than a week now, and I've played it a fair bit, and scratchiness is already going. I gave the frets a bit of a polish too. The fretboard is rosewood. We like rosewood. I really can't stand Indian laurel. It's not for me at all. It's rosewood. It's not massively dark as rosewood goes. If you look at this, also rosewood. I guess different species, different agings, different treatments on them over time. But yeah, rosewood, so that's still nice. What else do we get on here? We get a bit of dust. The three-way switch is a bit puny. It's better on some of the other, well, pretty much all of the other ones I've had actually. Maybe it's age, I don't know. But if you're just playing at home, not a big deal. If you're going to play it quite hard, use it as a kill switch, or if you were a gigging musician, then you need to replace that, in my opinion. The bridge, obviously all the gold hardware is tarnished a bit now because it's older. It still looks pretty. The bridge and saddles on this, the way they actually screw into the body aren't brilliant. And again, it's funny, I was going to say whether it's age, but based on how the frets feel a bit scratchy and aren't worn, makes me think, has it been played a lot? In which case, that must mean that the way the bridge and saddle are fitted into the body here, which is a bit untidy, is maybe a fit and finish issue. Don't know. So that's not great, but it's all right. Knobs, they feel smooth enough. Tone knobs, a little bit on and off, but we'll check that out in a second. You've got some nice binding on here as well. Input jack is good. One thing I do like on this for a copy as well, you've got this big, fat, chunky square block at the back. Makes it difficult to get to the higher frets, but at least it's, correct, if you like, for the type of guitar it is. And you'll notice here, this is like a vintage V100. A lot more, they've changed the shape of them on the SC500s, which is what's replaced this. And the body thickness, normal thickness, not skinny as well. So just very quickly, before we go into some tones, my thoughts on just the fit, finish, how it feels and so on versus some other ones. Vintage V100, this feels very similar. It's a basswood body, so it's lighter, but that, I have to tell you, has not affected the tone, which you'll see in a moment. People, it should be mahogany, it's a Les Paul. Not so, this sounds great, and it's just a lot lighter. It's as light as my Strat. So, versus the vintage V100, apart from the tuners, which you typically get better tuners on those, but I feel it holds up against that, so which is great because they're a lot more expensive. Against other Harley Bentons, this is way better than the SC500, which I had not that long ago, so one of their newer ones, much better than that guitar. Versus the SC Custom 2, which I had recently, they're a bit of a different animal, to be honest, and the SC Custom 2 does feel like a better guitar. It doesn't sound better, though, I will say that. It doesn't sound better, but it does feel better and is better quality. What else? Epiphones. Yeah, the Epiphones I've had are definitely an upgrade on this, for sure. But overall, it's all right. Now, bearing in mind, this cost me £85 used. I think the SC450 now new is about 110, is it? 120? And if you go direct from Toma now, unfortunately, due to Brexit, you'll have 20% VAT on top of that, so you've added a fifth to the cost. Then you've got delivery, and then there's import duties. So it's put them up a lot. It's kind of priced them out of the market in some ways for a budget guitar. So if you're looking around for a used one, it's always the best. Now you'll notice a red knob here. That's a tilt of the hat to Buckethead. I love Buckethead. I think he's brilliant. If I had like 1% of his talent, I'd be very, very happy. Obviously, this is not a kill switch, but it's just put there for a bit of fun. So I've got my V2 Blackstar V2 amp. It's on the clean channel. He says, yep, it's on the clean channel with just a bit of reverb and delay. First thing I want to do is just show you how well this sustains. I'm literally just going to hold a note and we'll see how long this rings out for. Still just about ringing. Now if I take off the he says, come, right, I've just taken off the reverb and the delay, so it's just completely dry. Still ringing. Still ringing. Just about finished there. That is flipping amazing. Ring, ring, thing to note, this is on the neck pickup. I've got the treble right up on there, the volume is right up on here, and it's dark. Now if I drop the tone down, that's about tones on about 7, tone to about 3. Not actually that much difference. And then tone all the way off. Oh, sounds like a baritone or a bass. Couldn't use that, could you? Right, so middle position. Blank. Oh, just put the volume up, that would help, wouldn't it? So middle, go back to the neck for a second. Back to middle. So just brighten up a little bit as you would expect. If I just drop the neck pickup off a bit in terms of volume. So, you know, I think using the volumes when you've got both pickups on is more useful than the tone. Anyway, onto the bridge. So, much broader kind of sound. Let's put some overdrive on, shall we? Well, let's just go, tell you what, let's just go crunch. Ooh. That's a bit loud, sorry neighbours. Middle position. okay. Ring, ring, ring. Right, and last one, because I'm sure you're all getting bored now. Sorry, neighbours. So, that is a flavour. £100 used. Is this better than the modern day equivalent? Yes, I think it is. That said, it wouldn't put me off getting an SC450. Is it better than an SC Custom 2? No, and it's a slightly different guitar to that. Is it worth paying used, if you can find one, £200-ish for a vintage V100? Or this used for about 100? No, get this. It's well worth it. And as with all budget guitars, if you wanted to do a few upgrades to it, then you could. And it's not costing you an arm and a leg. So, well, thank you for watching. Anyway, I hope it's been of some use. Please let me know any questions that you have. And I'm going to do just a little comparison to my budget Strat. Totally different guitars, but I'm interested to see how the humbucker on my Strat sounds versus these humbuckers for one, and get a bit of a feel for the difference in sustain, bearing in mind that they're both basswood bodies, and also just have a bit of a feel for what I think on the fit, finish and the playability of a budget Strat versus their budget Les Paul. So yeah, I'll get around to doing that shortly. But in the meantime, thanks for watching. If you want to subscribe, then please do. If you want to like, please do. If you want to unlike, please do. Yes, and we'll see you again on the next one.